This dishonest police chief tells Judge Caprio, "I run this town." What this judge did next will blow your mind. "Your Honor, let's move this along. I've got a whole department waiting on me." The sentence fell heavy, deliberate, like a gauntlet thrown on marble. In the gallery, a young mother tightened her grip on her toddler's hand. The court reporter's fingers froze above the keys. Judge Frank Caprio didn't flinch, didn't raise his voice. He simply removed his glasses, placed them on the bench with the care of a man setting down a loaded weapon, and folded his hands. "Chief Holloway," he said, voice soft but carrying the full weight of 35 years behind that bench. "This courtroom operates on its own clock. Not yours." Raymond Holloway, chief of the Cranston Police Department, 6'2", 220 pounds of pressed uniform and polished brass, actually laughed. A short, barking laugh that ricocheted off the oak-paneled walls of Providence Municipal Court like it had no right to be there. "I run this town," he repeated, slower this time, savoring every word. "You really think a traffic court judge is going to scare me?" The badge on his chest caught the light. The arrogance above it cast a longer shadow. His attorney, Theodore Marsh, rose halfway out of his chair, palms already open in practiced conciliation. "Your Honor, if we could expedite, my client has pressing obligations. We're prepared to pay any reasonable fine and be on our way." Caprio's eyes flicked to Marsh for half a second, cold and precise. "Mr. Marsh, this court does not expedite arrogance. It examines it. Sit down." Marsh sat so fast the chair creaked. The clerk, Miss Delgado, cleared her throat with the calm of someone who had seen every kind of storm this room could hold. "Case 2025. TR04821, Commonwealth versus Raymond J. Holloway. Charges: reckless operation 58 miles per hour in a 25 miles per hour school zone, failure to stop for blue lights pursuit distance 1.2 miles, intimidation of a peace officer, obstruction of justice, false statement to law enforcement, and 1-count contempt of court added this morning." The gallery inhaled as one. Marsh was up again. "Your Honor, this is clearly retaliatory prosecution against a 28-year veteran." Caprio cut him clean. What does your client plead?" Holloway leaned into the microphone, jaw clenched tight enough to crack walnuts. "Not guilty. Every single charge." Caprio made a small note, the pen scratching loud in the silence. "So entered. Miss Delgado, place into the record the 2023 administrative warning issued to the defendant for similar conduct in the Dyer Avenue school zone." Holloway's face flickered. "That was never substantiated. It was documented," Caprio said without looking up. "Context matters, Chief. Sometimes context becomes conviction." Then, almost gently, "Chief Holloway, tell the court, in your own words, what happened on the afternoon of March 14th. Holloway straightened his tie, the gesture of a man who had rehearsed this moment in the mirror 100 times. "Your Honor, I was responding to an urgent interdepartmental coordination matter. Time sensitive. I may have been traveling slightly above the posted limit. 40, possibly 45, but school had already dismissed. When the officer activated his lights, I pulled over immediately. Brief professional exchange. I identified myself, explained the situation. He seemed to understand." Caprio repeated, slow enough to carve the words into stone. "Pulled over immediately. No threats were made." "Absolutely none," Holloway said, meeting the judge's eyes like a man who still believed rank could stare down truth. Caprio nodded once. "Officer Daniel Reeves to the stand, please." A young officer, 27, baby-faced, shoulders squared like he was holding the entire department upright, walked the aisle. Every step sounded louder than it should. He raised his right hand, swore the oath, sat. Caprio's voice softened, the way it does when he speaks to someone who still believes the badge can mean honor. "Officer Reeves, in your own words." Reeves didn't glance at his former chief. He looked straight at Caprio. 3:38 p.m., Lincoln Avenue approaching Lincoln Elementary Mark School Zone. Black SUV, Rhode Island registration CP1. Radar locked 58 miles per hour. I activated lights and siren. Vehicle continued another 1.2 miles before stopping in the Cranston Community Center lot. When I approached, Window came down, badge came out first. Exact quote. You're a beat cop. I'm the chief. Make this disappear, or I'll make your career disappear. A ripple went through the gallery. Someone whispered Jesus. Caprio turned to the clerk. Miss Delgado, roll the body cam footage, please. The screen woke up. March 14th, 2025, 15 hours, 42 minutes, and 17 seconds. The SUV filled the frame. Holloway's face, red and snarling, filled the lens. Did you not hear me, son? I will end you. Clear as church bells on Sunday. The courtroom went colder than the January wind outside. Caprio paused the video. Chief Holloway, you testified under oath no threats were made. Would you like to revise that statement? Holloway's mouth worked soundlessly for a second. That wasn't a threat. That was strong advice. Strong advice, Caprio repeated, letting the phrase hang until it stank. Miss Delgado, Internal Affairs Report IA 202-50342, please. The clerk's voice never wavered. 3 outgoing calls from defendant's personal cell to Deputy Chief Morrison between 1547 and 1627. 1 voicemail, 1631. Morrison, it's Ray. Handle this Reeves kid before I have to. You know what I mean. Then the text message read aloud like a death sentence. Some rookie tried to write me up. Already making calls. Gone by Monday. Another text, same thread. Tell him his shield's on borrowed time. Holloway looked suddenly smaller in his uniform, like the fabric had decided it no longer wanted to carry him. Caprio wasn't finished. Sergeant William Chun to the stand. Chun walked up like a man heading to his own execution. 15 years on the job. Eyes dead tired of looking the other way. Morning of March 15th. Precinct parking lot. 7:15. I witnessed Chief Holloway approach Officer Reeves beside the patrol units. Got within 6 inches of his face. Said, quote, think real careful about what happens next, rookie. Clock's ticking. Officer Reeves never said a word. Chief walked away, paused at the door, added, better hope that citation disappears. Caprio made another note. You filed a report that same day. Yes, Your Honor. Some things you don't sleep on. Then the phone witness. Sandra Mitchell, patched in by speaker, voice trembling with the kind of anger only a mother who almost lost her children can carry. I was in a crosswalk with my 7-year-old daughter and 5-year-old son. Lights flashing, vest on the crossing guard. I heard the engine roar. Grabbed my daughter, so hard I left bruises. The SUV missed us by less than 2 feet. I felt the air move. My son still screams every time we approach a crosswalk. My daughter asked me if we were going to die. Silence thick enough to choke on. Caprio's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. Miss Mitchell, did you later learn who was driving? Yes, the police chief. He almost killed my babies because he was late for golf. Caprio turned back to the clerk. GPS navigation log. Defendant's city-issued Tahoe. Destination entered 1521, Cranston Country Club. Scheduled tee time 16:15. No emergency code entered, no lights, no siren. Caprio removed his glasses again, set them down with ceremonial slowness. 12 full seconds of silence, stretched until the walls themselves seemed to lean in. Then he spoke, every syllable measured, final. Chief Raymond Holloway, on March 14th, you drove 58 miles per hour through a school zone because you didn't want to be late for golf. You endangered a mother and 2 small children. You fled from a lawful stop for over a mile. You threatened a young officer's career on camera. You made phone calls and sent texts attempting to bury the truth. You intimidated that same officer the next morning. And today, in this courtroom, under oath, you lied about all of it. He paused, let it sink in. Officer Webb. The bailiff stepped forward. Take the defendant into custody. The handcuffs came out with a metallic whisper. Holloway surged to his feet. This is outrageous. You can't arrest me. I'm the chief of police. Caprio looked straight at him, calm as a frozen lake. You were. Right now you're a defendant who committed perjury in my courtroom. Click, click. The cuffs locked. The gallery erupted, gasps, camera shutters. Someone actually cried out. Marsh stood frozen, legal pad dangling useless. Caprio waited for silence, then continued, voice steady. Defendant will be held without bail pending tomorrow's hearing on criminal contempt and perjury charges, both of which will be referred to the Attorney General. Cranston PD is notified as of this moment. Chief Holloway is suspended indefinitely. He turned to the clerk and dictated reforms into the record: clear, precise, permanent. Mandatory court appearance for any school zone violation regardless of rank. 5-year bodycam retention for officer defendants. Anonymous junior officer protection hotline. Ex parte influence log published weekly. Automatic internal affairs referral when rank is invoked during a stop. Each recommendation landed like another nail. Then the restorative terms: $1,850 in fines, 200 hours community service split between traffic safety and police accountability youth programs, 2 handwritten apologies, one to Officer Reeves, one to Sandra Mitchell. Read aloud at a PDA meeting. Resignation or administrative leave, 40-hour ethics retraining, 2 public service announcements, a 1,500-word reflection on authority versus accountability, and 3 speaking engagements at the police academy on the exact topic he had spent 30 years ignoring. 6 months later, Raymond Holloway returned to the same courtroom. No uniform, no bike, just a man in a plain navy suit, shoulders slightly stooped, eyes that had finally learned what looking down felt like. He stood when Caprio asked if he had anything to say. "Your Honor, 6 months ago I lied to your face because I truly believe my position placed me above the truth. I was wrong. Not legally wrong, fundamentally wrong about what the badge is for. I spent 3 decades thinking it protected me. It doesn't. It never did. The work I've done since hasn't erased the fear I put in Officer Reeves or the nightmares I gave 2 little kids, but I understand now that real authority doesn't threaten, it protects. I am sorry. Not for the cameras. Not for the record. Just sorry." Caprio reviewed the file. Every hour logged. Every letter accepted. Every presentation delivered. And remitted $400 of the fine. "The rest stands, Mr. Holloway." A permanent reminder that accountability always has a price. Holloway nodded once, turned, and walked out of the courtroom a civilian. 3 weeks later, a new card appeared on Judge Caprio's chamber's wall, written in his own hand. Authority that cannot be questioned becomes tyranny. Power that lies under oath becomes crime. The badge serves the law, not the other way around. Some lessons take 30 years and 1 afternoon in a courtroom where the gavel falls the same for everyone. Dramatization for storytelling and educational purposes.